Hey everybody, today is October 26, 2023, and today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about this spectacular move that we had this month, and what I think the price of Bitcoin will do for the month of November. Please read this disclaimer before I begin. You can pause the video as you read it. Okay, so the biggest news of the week basically is this incredible move, this impulse move higher from Bitcoin. So before we talk about that, I just want to start where we left off. So a couple months ago when we had this big plunge, I basically said that for the month of September, I thought we were going to spend the month moving sideways, right? And I thought that the bulls had to put in the work and start to absorb the supply before we went up higher. Now, the bulls did a good job, and then for my last video, for the month of October, I said that I wanted us to build an ascending triangle sort of platform where we started to make higher lows, right? Perhaps hitting the same resistance, the same resistance level before moving up higher, right? Now, so basically everything that I predicted actually happened. The only thing that I didn't expect was such a powerful move. So obviously I'm not complaining about that because we all made a lot of money. I just thought that this would take a little longer and that the big move would happen sometime in November. So I guess the timing was a little off, but the overall technical pattern was pretty on point, right? If you watched my last video. So this incredibly powerful move, basically off the rumors that we're finally getting a spot ETF, possibly from BlackRock approved, right? But yeah, but you can also make an argument that this is just we've been basically going sideways for about a year now. So this is a lot of energy, a lot of coil, a lot of bulls absorbing supply to the point where there's just not a lot of demand that's going to push the price up higher, right? Not a lot of demand that when it comes in, it will push the price higher, right? And so this is definitely obviously a bullish bullish development in the overall price action. And you can see on the bigger chart, we have finally broken above this Fibonacci resistance level, which we've stayed at for a while now. And I've talked about how 30,000 is a really important level. Oops. Right, because 30,000 in our last bull cycle, you can see how this acted as support for so long, and we finally broke it during the bear market in 2022. And so we stayed under that level for a long time, right, almost a year. And then we finally went up to retest it earlier this year. So of course we had resistance around 30,000, right? This was a strong support level previously, which became resistance. So of course we're going to take a while to try to flip 30,000 from resistance to support. And right now we're finally seeing a strong breakout. I think this is finally it, like 1, 2, and then third time's the charm, right? And finally the bulls are just pushing up higher, and there's not a lot of resistance from the bears now. Now what's going to happen is the bears, if they think this is not supposed to be here, they might start a short position. But I think what likely will happen is we'll see something sort of like this, where we consolidate for a while, but we continue on pushing up higher. And I can actually see us going up perhaps until the end of the year around like 45 or 50,000 because we're already well above this Fibonacci level, right? So the next level could be our Fibonacci resistance level around 50,000 or 40, around like 46, 47, 48,000. So that's the next. I'm not saying we're going to go straight up, but I do think that that's the direction we're headed. And of course, what we don't want to see is we don't want to see this come back down and then fail to hold this level and then push back into this range. Although I'm not saying that can't happen. Maybe if the spot ETF is finally rejected or something. But as long as there's still hope, I do think that this level is going to hold. So technically, so basically everything's looking pretty good right now. A lot of volume to back it up, right? It's not like we're moving up on low volume. So there's a lot of conviction in the market. Obviously, the RSI is a bit overbought right now, so you want to be wary of that and maybe don't chase this market. However, yeah, so don't chase the market, but like I said, I do think that the probability of us going sideways instead of just plunging is a lot higher. So probably go sideways for a while, consolidate, and push up higher. That's what we want to see, right? And that's something what we saw similarly over the last couple moves up higher, right? But like I said, you sort of can compare the move in earlier this year where we had this big move higher. Coming off the FTX crash, right? And we stayed elevated overbought for a while, right? You can sort of see, I'll just show you the chart really quickly. This first move up into overbought territory over here was this, and then we consolidated and we actually went up a little higher, right? So I can see that's happening. I can see us staying overbought for a while before it moves up higher, right? But what we don't want to see is for us to lose all the gains that we had and come back and retest this support level and then push up down, right? We want to stay above 30,000 this time permanently, right? So let's look at the weekly chart. I'll just give you a clean chart here. So yeah, everything's looking good, right? We're still in a long-term secular bull trend, right? As long as we are above these moving averages, we're good. And that's another thing, right? If you read my Twitter page, I've been talking about the last several tweets that I do think that, well, first of all, I do think that this time, this is sort of like my pin tweet right now, which I do think Bitcoin's price action is resembling the 2016-2017 bull market more than the the last bull market of 2019 and 2021, right? Where we have a slow and steady move instead of like big impulse moves higher, right? And I actually highlighted where I think we might be right now compared to like the early 2016, right? Just slow base and moving higher, impulse moves higher. But over the last couple of weeks, we kind of had a hard time staying above the 200-week moving average, right? So I said this in my last couple of tweets. But you can add me on Twitter or follow me on Twitter on EddieLux_. And in my most recent tweet from October 18th, right? Bitcoin is finding hard to reclaim the 200-week simple moving average. And right now, with this big move up, we finally taken it over. So we're now above the 200-week moving average, which is good, which is bullish. But now we are at this level where Bitcoin needs to continue fighting higher to push up higher, right? We want to stay above 30,000 this time for real, right? 30,000, big crucial level. Also this Fibonacci, sorry, big range. 30,000, big crucial level, support and resistance level, but it's also the level of this, look at this, 30,000 right on this Fibonacci support level, right? Now, or hopefully we turn this resistance into support level, right? We don't want to come down, we want to see the price of Bitcoin continue up higher. So what are some possible evidence that suggests that this is a bull trend and we can continue up higher? So before we begin, let's look at the Fear and Greed Index and greed, but not extreme greed yet, right? Like I said, I do think we can make another leg higher, just like we saw over here, right? Even though the RSI is oversold, overbought. However, there's still room to move to extreme greed, which means that the sentiment still has room to move up higher for the price to go up higher, right? And maybe we'll reach there for the next leg higher, maybe up to 40,000, right? Hash rate's looking good. 2-year multiplier. 2-year multiplier is something that tells you when Bitcoin is generally in a good position to buy. You usually want to buy below this green line where it's shaded, right? And we've been in this shaded area for the longest time that we've had in the history of Bitcoin. And finally, we are starting to move out for the first time, right? In over a year, we're finally moved out. So every time Bitcoin moves out, here in 2016 and here in 2019, and of course the pandemic, 2020, it always just continues a strong bullish trend higher, right? Continues a strong bullish trend higher. So this is really bullish, right? Because we've been talking about this for the last couple of months, though, how we're still under this green line, and this is usually a good time to buy, right? And you generally want to sell when we get close to this orange line or above the orange line, or orange reddish line, and it becomes shaded. But like I said, once we cross above the green line, it's generally a trend that's going to continue up higher. So very bullish. Pi cycle top indicator also tells you. Pi cycle top indicator tells you generally when to sell, but it's also a good indicator to tell you if the price is in a bullish trend. And the price of Bitcoin is in a bullish trend when it's above the orange line, right? Above the orange line, and we basically been fighting to stay above the orange line, but now with this recent move higher, we are definitely above the orange line, right? So this is also another possible, it's another indicator telling us that Bitcoin is probably going a lot higher, because when it stays above the orange line, it tends to go a lot higher, right? Even if you look at the last trend from 2016 to 2021, and also from 2016 to 2017, and 2019 to 2021, right? These things always follow and go up higher, right? And so here is another one, the golden ratio multiplier, right? When we stay above the orange line, right? When we cross above the orange line, and bear markets below the orange line, it tends to go up a lot higher until the purple lines, right? So there's still a lot of upside to get from this. So all these charts are basically telling us that, again, another one where we have different indicators basically juxtaposed onto the same chart, telling us where the possible highs and lows are. And again, the bottom is probably in, because once we hit the green line and we go up, it doesn't look back. Now we're still breaking up higher to the next purple line, right? And as we continue up higher and higher, there's still more room to run until we get to the to the red area, right? And lastly, we'll look at this one. This is also another tool that juxtapose, puts different indicators on the same tops and bottom indicators onto the same chart. So this gives you an idea of where the top and the bottom is going to be, right? And this is all telling us that the bottom, if we look at the past, right, the yellow and green lines are usually the bottom, right? And it looks like we already bottomed, and we're starting to move sideways, and build a base for the next parabolic move run higher in the next bull market, right? Same thing from 2016, same thing in 2019, and now, 2016, 2019, and now 2022, 2023, right? We built a base for over a year now. So all these indicators are telling us that Bitcoin is probably in a strong bull market, and it will probably continue to go up higher, right? Of course, there's no guarantees, but I mean, hash rate looking good, still a lot of room to the upside. So, things are looking really good, right? And even the dollar is starting to move sideways a little bit, but we definitely want to see the dollar come down a little bit more, because the dollar moves inversely to the price of Bitcoin, right? So when the dollar is weak, the price of Bitcoin tends to go down. And we had an incredible run on the dollar, which put a lot of downward pressure on Bitcoin recently. But we could start to see this starting to go down, right? Technically, we are making lower highs and lower lows, right? Lower lows here. So if the dollar breaks this structure, we can see it come down, which will put right here. So if we do get if we are following something like this, where we just become more and more parabolic, I do think that we'll see something like that. Moving into the 2025. If you follow the four-year cycle, then 2025 should, in theory, be the top, right? Somewhere in 2025. So maybe next year we'll see an impulse move near 45,000, 48,000 before we see a correction, and it moves sideways for a while. But we still have higher lows and higher highs, and in 2025 we start to see the parabolic run into the six-figure range, right? So I do think there's a lot of excitement, but don't just think that things is gonna go straight up, right? The only thing that I could see going just straight up is if we hit like spot ETF approval, right? And so yeah, also I guess I'll just throw this in as a sort of fun side. We talk about the Bitcoin miners, Riot. Everybody loves Riot and Marathon, the two biggest ones. They're sort of following it. Obviously, there's been some weakness in the stock market, so this also is correlated with the stock market. But if we see the price of Bitcoin continue to rip up higher, I could see the miners also following to a significant degree, right? Because you saw when Bitcoin was and had its run from the beginning of this year, right? It moved up almost 100%. But look at Riot, right? Riot was up, see, almost 600%, right? Or at least 500%. So, I mean, I definitely have a bit of a position in those miners. So yeah, so that's another way you can play Bitcoin in a more leveraged way, and not have to buy the physical Bitcoin, right? Although some of you might want to trade the actual spot Bitcoin. But anyways, I will say that things are looking good. Things are looking really good. I'm feeling really optimistic, and yeah. But of course, we have to talk about possible downsides, right? What we don't want to see is we don't want to see the price of Bitcoin come down and retest 30,000 and perhaps break below. If we do that, we're going to probably fall back within this range and possibly go down even lower. So we want to see this hold. I do think that November is going to be an important month, because the bulls really need to put in the work and try to defend this level, right? If we defend this level, we'll see something sort of like this and then move up high. That's what I want to see, right? And of course, the RSI is still going to be, it's still going to be overbought, but there's still room for us to move higher. So anyways, that's what I'm looking for the month of November. I do think the bulls are going to put in work to defend this level, and we're going to make one more leg higher, possibly pull back a little bit. But I think ultimately we're on track to have a longer, medium to longer trend towards this next Fibonacci level around 46 to 48,000, right? And from there we might have some resistance, but ultimately after that, the next Fibonacci support level is basically near the all-time high. So things are looking good for now. Of course, we have to see if this actually plays out, right? Anything can happen. There's still risks from the Federal Reserve. The CPI data has been, quite elevated. We had a bounce from January, so there is fear that there might be more interest rate rises from the Federal Reserve, right? We're right over 5% right now, and yes, so we definitely want to see CPI come down. If that comes down, that's going to put upward pressure on the stock market. This is S&P 500, and upward pressure on the stock market, possibly downward pressure on the dollar. And upward pressure on the stock market, downward pressure on the dollar means that the price of Bitcoin will likely go up higher, right? But another possible headwind is the yield curve starting to uninvert, right? We're starting to move up. Look at the yield curve starting to move back up, and usually when the yield curve uninverts, it tends to be followed by a recession, which is a shaded area. So people are predicting that maybe next year we might have a recession. So that might also be a reason why the market has been performing weak lately. But hopefully the market can turn around and the recession can be a soft landing rather than a hard landing. And we might see the price of Bitcoin start to absorb that a bit before going up a lot higher. But for now, in the short term, things are looking good, right? We basically blasted above the 200-day moving average, which is so important. Short-term moving average. We've also blasted above the 200-week moving average, which is important. Long-term moving average, right? You see all this you know, when the price of Bitcoin in the bullish trend tends to hold above the 200-week moving average. So yep, so that's pretty much it. We definitely will. I'll definitely update you on the end of November to see what I think December is going to be. But we still need to see if the bulls. Next time when we come back, we'll see if the bulls are able to defend this level, right? See if we're able to defend at least 30,000 before possibly going up higher. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, or informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, subscribe for updates. Appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.